Hi everyone, thank you for joining me tonight, and I will read to you this book, Elisha and God's Heavenly Army. Actually, this is a real story and it is from the Bible. It's from 2 Kings chapter 6 verses 8 to 23. So, let's begin. Elisha and God's Heavenly Army. Retold by Joji Wong, illustrated by Ivan Reverend. Crash! Bang! Arr! King Aram was furious. His army officers cowered before him as he threw at them anything he could get his hands on. Even his chief commander had to shield himself or get hit by flying pottery. "Who is the spy? Get me the spy!" roared the king. He glared at his chief commander and officers with suspicion. The king was angry because every single time they planned a surprise attack against the Israelites, it failed. Wherever the Arameans set up an ambush, on the mountains, in the valleys, on the desert, or in the forest, whenever it was, early in the morning, at high noon, or after sunset, no Israelite army showed up. The Arameans would have nothing to report to the king of Aram. The Israelites somehow always found out about their plans and avoided the places the Arameans were waiting to attack. In those days, Aram was a very powerful kingdom. Israel used to be that way until the people of Israel quarreled and split into two kingdoms, Judah and Israel. This made the two kingdoms smaller and also weaker than Aram. This is why the king of Aram was furious. Why should it be so hard to win over such a small kingdom? There must be someone in Aram trying to help them. An army officer, trembling in fear, explained, "Oh king, there's no spy among us. We are loyal to you. It's this man named Elisha who is to blame." "Who is this Elisha?" the king growled, already planning how to punish this Elisha who dared go against him. "Oh king, he's a prophet of Israel. He knows everything, even what you whisper in your bedroom." So the king ordered his men to capture this prophet. When they found out he was living in Dothan, the king sent a mighty army of soldiers with their chariots and horses, all for just one man, Elisha. They arrived at Dothan at night, surrounded the city, and marched their way to Elisha's house. The next morning, Elisha's servant came out of the house and saw the mighty Aramean army coming nearer and nearer to their house. "Master, master!" the servant called Elisha, his face marked by fear. As Elisha came out, the servant grabbed his arm. "What are we going to do? What's going to happen to us?" Elisha's face was the exact opposite of his servant's. It was calm, as if he did not see the huge Aramean army coming nearer. "Don't be afraid, my son," he said to his servant with a peaceful smile. "Our army is bigger than theirs." Then he prayed to God, "Lord, open the eyes of my servant." As soon as he prayed, the servant blinked his eyes and fell on his knees. The servant saw the amazing sight before him. On the hills and surrounding the Aramean army was God's heavenly army. They were large and their armors glinted in the rising sun. Their fiery chariots shone. They made the Aramean army look like ants. As the enemy drew near, Elisha prayed again to God, Lord, close the eyes of this army. As soon as he prayed, the Arameans were struck with blindness. They could not see anything and could only hear the shouts of panic. The army became a group of helpless blind men who did not know where to go. Elisha went to their commander and said, Follow me, I will lead you to the man you are looking for. He led them to Samaria instead. Once they were in Samaria, Elisha prayed once again, but this time he prayed that the army of the Arameans could see again. When their eyes were opened, they realized they were in front of the king of Israel. They were trapped. As the Aramean crowded together, trembling without their swords and chariots, they were no longer the mighty army that Elisha's servants saw. The king of Israel saw them and thought, What a great opportunity to defeat the enemy! He asked Elisha, Shall I kill them? Shall I kill them? That should be the right thing to do, right? Most people would think that it would be the correct thing to do to the enemy. But Elisha, the person whom the Arameans set out to capture, hears and obeys God. And so he gave a surprising answer to the king of Israel. No, don't kill them. Instead, give them food to eat and let them go home to their king. God had Elisha tell the king to do the exact opposite. Instead of punishing the enemies, they were given a great feast and freedom to return to their kingdom. When the Aramean army returned home, the king of Aram was shocked to see them unhurt. But they didn't look so mighty anymore. They also didn't have Elisha with them. All they had was an unusual story of suddenly and strangely becoming blind and being led to Samaria, where their enemy fed and freed them. Would the Arameans attack Israel again since they weren't killed? It was not something that they needed to worry about. Even if they were a small kingdom surrounded by greater kingdoms, they were protected by God, who is greater than the gods of these kingdoms. The end. I hope, just like Elisha, we will see God's hand and army in every situation that we are facing right now. That's it. Thank you everyone and happy reading!